Everyone thinks that Kyoto's sublime beauty comes with a mandatory ear battering from the hooligan hordes. But I say, what a load of rubbish. Because look, here I am discovering that it's just me and the woman selling tickets here and nobody else. Yes, in Kyoto. Horinji is set in a rather sleepy residential part of the city and outrageously unnoticed. The sense of calm was overwhelming and I ended up spending well over an hour savouring every single detail, and most of that time I was completely alone. Well, I say alone, but that's not quite true. This temple is actually heaving with Daruma dolls, like around 8,000 of them, would you believe? That's why this temple is more commonly known as Daruma-dera. Daruma is the Japanese name for the big cheese of Zen Buddhism, Bodhidharma, and I probably butchered that name, yes. According to the story, he spent 9 years in a cave doing some heavy-duty meditation, but fell asleep and got so mad at this blunder that he tore off his own eyelids. And after that story, it doesn't quite make sense that Darumas are good luck charms, but they are. The Daruma-do Hall is filled with one spectacular congregation of these tubby little fellas, from the tiny to the gargantuan. But they're over in the other buildings and all around the grounds too, hiding in every spot. Honestly, you could easily spend hours just exploring here, making friends with all the residents and checking how the design varies from doll to doll. But just remember that there's more to see, because the other star attraction is tucked away to the rear. It's the Mujin-te Garden, aka the Garden of Infinity. You'll want to sit down and take a few moments to admire this manicured masterpiece. This Zen garden has it all: the smorgasbord of lush green moss, the deliberately placed rocks perhaps suggesting the mountains that surround the city, as well as that wabi-sabi look, finding beauty in something that doesn't last forever. What I like best here is how you feel cozy even though you're outside, giving you a great chance to ponder your next move. Take the train heading to Arashiyama theme park and get off after 4 stops at Enmachi, and within a few short minutes you'll be transported into this ultra calm oasis. As with all the other pics in this video, location information is tucked down in the description. Up in the northern wilds of the city, the journey to this next spot will work wonders for your blood pressure before you even arrive. Head up to Demachi Yanagi on the Keihan line, then jump on a deliciously dinky train for a short ride on the Eizan Railway. The second to last stop, Miyake Hachiman, drops you into a completely different Kyoto. Mountains loom large on the horizon, the station's deserted, it's already looking very Ghibli, and we're not even there yet. Follow a stretch of the Takano River and up a side street, go a little bit up to reach the hidden wonderland of Rengeiji. Has time slowed down? Has it stopped? You might think so, because when you're hit with this incredible jaw-dropping backdrop, the appropriate response is to pause. Just lay yourself out on the tatami mats and stare as much as you want. The foliage might bring a few more visitors during the autumn leaves season, but I actually prefer the luscious green version. I visited in September alongside only a handful of other people, and total unbroken peace reigned supreme. Luscious beauty will pass your eyes every which way you look. The carp meandering through the pond, a stone bridge off in the distance that reminds me of Uji down in the south of the city, moss that seems to be taking over this garden, just like in Gyoji up in the northwest. Everything is here. If you want to bathe in tranquility, truly bathe in it, Rengeiji might be your perfect Kyoto. Now, if you're enjoying this tour through Kyoto's quiet side, I'm sure you'll love my new ebook, Japan Out There Kansai Edition. It's full of secret spots from all around Kyoto, Osaka, Nara and beyond, all to guarantee you a properly unique trip. I handpicked all the destinations to make sure you have an incredible Japan adventure, and I've also packed in lots of handy tips so you'll look like you've already been to these places even though it's actually your first time. Check out the link in the pinned comment or scan the QR code on screen now. Now, when you want a hyper chilled out place for lunch, it always pays to be slightly more ambitious than the 99% who think that a giant queue is a rock solid guarantee of quality. No, take a stroll through the sleepy back streets of the city, because it's in mazes like this where you'll find the most secluded yet brain-stoppingly underrated eateries. And I've done the work for you on this one, so do me a favour, drop me a thumbs up, and for goodness sake, dial the noise down to -11 if you visit, because Cozy Cafe is one of those rare dining spots that truly lives up to its name. Honestly, the vibe is so laid back here, I could feel my heart rate slowing with each passing minute. I recommend going for the classic karaage set for lunch. That's fried chicken Japanese style. It's crispy and not greasy at all, and you can choose the flavour of the coating. I went with original pepper and the spiciness level was spot on. It was served with a more than generous portion of salad with pickles, your traditional heartwarming miso soup, and a cheeky slice of quiche snuck in somehow, which made me smile. This gem is hidden barely a 10-minute walk away from the Imperial Palace grounds, so a pretty central location, yes, but you may as well be in another city entirely, it's that calm. From the outside you might think it's an antique shop, but don't be deceived, it's a favourite amongst locals. That said, the staff are just as friendly with outsiders as they are with Kyoto residents. It's stylish yet homely, has a touch of the Lost in Time vibe, and you're not going to feel hurried while eating, so just sit back and savour your time here. As I mentioned before with Rengeji, journeys to serene spots can be equally relaxing in themselves, and this next location is no exception, because a few steps from Nijo Castle will lead you straight to a choice. Do you want to walk along the busy Horikawa Street, or do you fancy a stroll up the totally unexpected Horikawa River Promenade? Obviously that's a no-brainer. This isn't just any ordinary walk, it might as well be made by Marks and Sparks, because it's packed with special features. You've got stepping stones for a bit of an adrenaline boost in multiple locations, as well as waterfalls both big and small. But the biggest highlight, if you're in town at the right time of year, is that this area is a fantastic spot for viewing cherry blossoms. The river is home to a wide variety of white and pink double-flowered cherry trees, and thankfully you won't need to jostle with the world and his wife to take in the best views. The walkway follows the river for about 1.7 kilometers, or around 1 mile from east of Nijo Castle, all the way up to Imedagawa Street, not far from the Imperial Palace grounds. It's the perfect distance for a contemplative stroll, and chances are you'll only have to share the walk with but a handful of locals. Towards the northern end is the absolute best viewing spot for cherry blossoms at Ichijo Modoribashi, a bridge that dates back to the year 794, although this iteration was rebuilt back in 1995. Ichijo is the road that crosses the bridge. Modori means return, so according to custom, families of soldiers came here during World War II and crossed it repeatedly, hoping that their sons would get home safely. And on that topic, if you're trying to get the perfect cherry blossom shot up at street level, do pay attention to traffic, and especially speeding cyclists. They're a bit of a problem in Kyoto. For the next spot, we're heading down to Uji, technically a city in its own right and separate from Kyoto. For me, Uji is the smart alternative to Arashiyama theme park. It's got the river, the bridges, the mountain backdrop, but it isn't auditioning as a stunt double for a tube station in the rush hour. That being said, Uji does get a touch of traffic, which is why I love this next spot, as it feels like you're cheating. Again, you'll need to be up for a touch more exercise. It's no more than a 15-minute walk along the north side of the river, and you'll be sure to notice how the other tourists magically disappear into thin air. Or perhaps they're diving into the nearest cafe for a matcha parfait. Gather your strength for this last hike uphill and you'll reach KYOTO, at which point you're going to wonder why nobody else has joined you. This is another Zen temple dating back to the early 13th century, although it was relocated here to Uji in 1648. Unlike the first two temples where you could simply sit back and let everything soak in, KYOTO politely prods you to explore. At every turn you'll find elegance worthy of your admiration, and there are so many gorgeous angles to admire. It's almost like every square inch of this place is crying out for attention. And so it should, because frankly, it's a crime against Kyoto to not come here and visit. There's an exquisite garden set against the foot of the mountain, complete with pagoda and meticulously pruned trees and foliage, as well as a refreshing breeze thanks to the slightly elevated location. Elsewhere, look out for this bell, which you probably can't ring, else I would surely have got a proper action shot of me making a racket. Or perhaps I wouldn't, because yet again, there's an uncanny calm at KYOTO that will still your mind, and it brings added bonuses too in the form of unexpected guests who you'll never see at places like Kinkakuji Convention Center. For our next haven of solitude, we need to head back into the northern reaches of the city up in the mountains. Here I've got a double bill of temples, and these ones are proper diamonds, I'm telling you. First, let's have a look at the neighbourhood and tell me, does this look like Kyoto to you? I mean, it starts off residential, right? But then up here, I'm feeling more of an out in the sticks in Nara Prefecture vibe. And I've not seen anyone up here yet. So let's have a look at what all the fuss is about. This is Enkoji, or at least the entrance path, and boy, this screams quality, doesn't it? The carefully clipped trees, the pebble-edged stone path hemmed in with luscious moss, and this is what you get on just the entrance walk. Venture inside and you'll find pristine white gravel pathways offering an overabundance of scenic options. Do you fancy absorbing the sumptuous swathes of lush moss blanketing a fairly expansive garden, chock full with rustic stone lanterns and the perfectly positioned rocks nestled alongside the wiry tree trunks? If you're running out of bars on your battery and don't want to explore on foot just yet, Enkoji also has a tatami spot for you to hang out and just relax. Out front there's an intricate and superbly maintained gravel garden with plenty of intriguing curves, circles and mysterious protruding stones. Or perhaps you'd like nothing more than a dive into your own private bamboo grove, complete with empty space, quiet air and only the mountain breeze announcing its presence to you. You probably won't come across another utterly empty bamboo grove on your visit, unless of course you've watched one of my other Kyoto videos, so I'd recommend you grab this chance by the scruff of its neck and savour the moment before it disappears. Fun fact here, Enkoji was set up back in 1601 by Tokugawa Ieyasu, the OG shogun who kicked off the Edo period in Japan. Yeah, I probably messed up that name as well, but anyway, this was when the country was remarkably peaceful and also largely cut off from the rest of the world, which is coincidentally just how you will probably feel at this temple. It seems like my chances of ringing any bells in this video are well and truly gone, as here at Enkoji, staff have already ruled it out. In any case, it would only break the silence, and that's something you will definitely not want to do. And if I may make another suggestion, do drink in the view of the city below and the mountains beyond through this gate before you leave. it's properly epic. Helpfully, the second temple on this double bill and the last temple in this video is barely a 5-minute walk away. Head up the slope and you're confronted by the tiniest of doorways, an inviting staircase gleaming in the sunlight and moss covering the entrance roof. Whatever's inside has to be pretty special, right? At the end of the staircase sits Shisendo, where scenery is taken to the next level, or 3 of them at least, because this temple's landscape garden is split across multiple tiers, each with their very own atmosphere. The highest level is next to the villa, with a sand garden and maple trees laid out in front of you, and you'll be glad to take a break on the tatami after all this strenuous strolling. The building is supported by only a few wooden pillars, leaving this room with the extraordinary feeling of openness, so much so that it's hard to be sure that you're truly inside here. Head out of the villa and down to the next level and the garden is capacious, holding a small pond complete with carp and a traditional tea house. While at the last and lowest level, you might feel like you've stepped into another garden entirely. Down here the trees are so tall that you're essentially out of view of people at the top, so much that it could be a hidden garden in its own right. What I particularly like about the visit here is how when you return from your tour of the garden, you realise what an absolute gem of a building you started off in. Returning back from the second tier, you'll see how the villa has a partly thatched roof, another distinctive touch for this unusual temple. For the final stop on this jaunt through Kyoto's dead quiet wonders, we need to take a JR train down towards Nara, leave the crowds behind at Fushimi Inari Stadium and push on for 2 more stops to Momoyama. Now, I've saved this spot until last because honestly, it was the inspiration for this video. Because look, there is nobody here. Peace and tranquility are waiting for you, and wait they do in abundance. This is the mausoleum of Emperor Meiji, and knowing that should prompt you to start asking questions. With Meiji guiding the country through enormous changes, the shrine dedicated to him up in the Tokyo Monstropolis is fittingly epic and receives box office visitor numbers every year. But this place does not. Don't try to understand, just feel it. The stillness, the way the towering trees deaden all sound as you journey along the path. The curves along the way are seemingly endless. You've got plenty of time on the walk in to ponder over your Kyoto visit and choose your favourite spots. And nobody is going to bother you. Apart from the solitude, what I particularly love about this place is how minimalist it is. This epic staircase lined by the forest has nothing to distract you, and the climb up is almost inevitably meditative. Meiji's final resting place is hugely understated, only visible a way off in the distance at the end of a perfectly raked sand path through several torii gates. I can guarantee you will not find stillness like this in the rest of Kyoto. But as you pause over this wonderful vista of the south of the city, don't think this is the end, because in this next video I've got more quiet corners for you to explore, starting with a fortress that isn't Nijo Castle. See you there!